I'm back, guys. Shout out to Nath and to Heath for stepping in and helping out with the people squad, the impact of the next three, and talking through tips as well. I'm back to go through it, and Heath just mentioned now how much of a difficult effort it was to, the stress around the people squad and getting things done. So he was commending my efforts. So I'll take that. Thank you very much. It's much easier once you get used to it. That's for sure. But next three, I've changed my ladder, and wow, in 4 weeks, a lot has changed. I think we had Penrith in the top 4 still, and I've now got them at the bottom. So pretty fun there. I haven't got it in exact order, but I've kind of got the tiers pretty well set. I think I've got in the harder tiers the teams you don't really want to come up against. If you're looking at fantasy and Supercoach scoring attacking wise, is Melbourne, Canterbury, Canberra, and Brisbane right now. And I've got Warriors in 5th, but they could be up and down. The reason I got them in 5th is more around the points that they're still allowing. Some teams that are not as good, like teams like the Tigers and stuff, were able to get 3-4 tries on them and stuff like that. So we'll leave them there. Very similar situation with teams like Cronulla, Manly, and the Cowboys right now in that next tier. Dolphins just in 9th, hard to tough one, but we'll keep them in that third section. Tigers, St. George, Roosters right now, and then we've got Titans down there with South, Newcastle, Para, and Penrith. I've got them in the bottom just because they are leaking points at the moment, so especially on that left hand side defensively. So when we go through the teams that we're going to look at, that is where I'm getting the colours from. Titans up top. 9, 10, 11 before their bye in round 12. So they have a pretty decent setup overall. You just have to get through round 12 before a stretch of games where they're available before the final major bye where they won't be. And look, those games after the first bye aren't great in Melbourne and Brisbane, and then Manly in that round 15 clash where they may miss guys like Turbo or DCE. But we are looking at the next three. It's Canterbury, Newcastle, and Canberra. And it's not nice. It's not nice at all. Really, the only player I think you're looking at from the Titans right now is Bofo Moore. So he's definitely of interest to myself and a lot of coaches out there. He shouldn't be affected too much by tougher matchups. More for the fact maybe around his ability to get tries, and set up tries and have really good attacking stats. So generally he'll be okay base stats, but he's the main guy to look at. Storm, you're looking at Canberra into Tigers into Cronulla. So that run was a little bit easier, and it's gotten a tiny bit harder, and they're not playing their best. So are they a team you want to target right now? Potentially. There's still a few guys that are doing well. Jerome Hughes is at a cheaper price, and you've got guys like Pappy, doing pretty solidly apart from the sin bin. They missed 12 and 15, so they're not a clear priority team to look at. Dragons, you're looking at the Tigers into Warriors and Brisbane. So it's not a bad little setup for them, but really you're probably only looking at forwards and potentially the new half that we should see getting named today, who is a 5'8", doesn't kick the footy much, but has plenty of attack in him, which is really cool. And defensively looks pretty solid. Knights. There's a lot of green in this one for the Knights, but that's why I'm excited about having a bunch of Knights players. But on the other hand, they're not playing well at all. Can they turn it around against South, Titans, Para, Penrith, and St. George are the next 5? So they clearly have the easiest run, but can they utilize it? They don't have a bye all the way through to 18. So if you're looking at just across the board here, they by far have the best little setup, followed by the Eagles next round. After their bye here in round 9, it gets a lot nicer for them with the teams they play, but also just having a nice stretch all the way through till round 16. So, we spoke about the Eagles right there. It's a bye this week. So, the only way I personally would look at them is if I decide to do a loop in the first game of Magic Round, and then I decide to bring in a Garrick. That's probably the main thing that I'm looking at. Warriors, they've got the Cowboys into the Dragons into the Finns. So, that is an okay little setup for them. You're probably mainly looking at Clark or Halasima if he gets named to start again. Not too much else to say on the Wars right now. I don't think you're going for any of their attacking players, so it shouldn't matter too much. Doggies, you've got the Titans into Canberra into the Roosters. So it's a pretty solid setup overall. They're going to play round 12. So, this week as a target round for someone like Karaz is a really good one. Preston, you're buying him at sort of somewhere near peak value. So it doesn't really matter when to buy him. He's a keeper long term. Shouldn't be in the Origin frame either. Cowboys, you're looking at Warriors, Penrith, Manly. It's so wild to see Penrith in green. That's crazy. But that 3-game stretch, not too bad, followed by round 12 bye. After round 12, guys like Drinkwater become very, very interesting, especially given he's not in the Origin frame. Right now, he might at least got a couple ahead of him. So I think if you want to buy him this week, great. If you aren't sure, wait till round 13. He'll be at a somewhat similar price. Unless he goes a couple of 70s in a row, on at least another 70 this week. Eels, they go Cronulla into Dolphins into Newcastle. And that section is fine, given Moses is back. Now, if you've got Yongi, Katonga, Riley Smith, these types of guys, holds, see how they go over the next few weeks. I doubt that it's going to affect them too much. And look, if Katonga's on that right-hand side with Moses, coming up against Billy Burns, Hirotti's going to be out. Does Cal Iro come back this week? We'll find out shortly. It's an okay setup. And the only, would you buy any Eels at this stage? Probably not. Eagles, as I said, with them have the bye. Roosters, they have a bye next week. There's a few guys that are really good guys to have. Teddy's, Nwangani Tawaze, Sandon Smith, Hugo Savala. There's guys that are in between in Watson's, Wong, these types of guys. So Teddy, a clear guy you can look at, but they do still have generally pretty tough opponents. Dolphins into bye into Bulldogs, Sharks, Canberra, before another bye in 14, 2 games and another bye. So it's a tough period for them when they miss 3 games in the next 9, which is pretty crazy. So something to note with Roosters, how many do you want when they miss a lot of games? And they're good for having looping capabilities for you, but you probably don't want 3 and 4. You probably want 2, 3 max. Panthers, it's hard to go for any of their guys. Guys like Jenkins might be holds if To'o does return, but we'll wait till team list for that. They're going to buy in round 11. We'll talk about their Origin guys come that time. Tigers, you're looking at St. George into Melbourne, into South, which is a fine stretch. So if you've got guys from that team, Stafford Towers, these types of players, completely fine to hold this week. Stafford coming up against Val. Is it 100 season? I didn't even think about that until now. How good is that? If I do hold anyway. Rabbitohs, they've got Newcastle into Brisbane into Tigers. And in that setup there, it's fine. But they're missing a lot. So, not anyone in there you clearly want to go and target. Lockie Hubner back this week too, which will be fun. If anyone did hold, that's why I was like, why didn't I think about Hubner? I end up selling him instead of Stafford. All right, for the Broncos, they got Penrith into South into St. George. I think they have the second best run here, but then it's round 12 and round 15 bye. So expect some decent scores for some of their attacking guys, but don't go out and buy many, I don't think. Dolphins, they miss round 13, but play 12 and 15, which is helpful. So Roosters for them into Para, into Warriors. A pretty solid stretch of games. And guys like Isaiah Katoa, Herbie Farnworth can all benefit definitely there. Sharkies, they've got Para, which might be closer than we think. With Moses back, they've got Manly and they have Melbourne over the next 3. Again, they play round 12 as well. So they're a team that you can target given they play. They have the same schedule there as the Finns, like we just said. So they're a fine team to look at. Guys like Hines. And then Raiders, they have Melbourne into Dogs into Titans. So a couple of tough ones. And then it gets a bit easier for them. Titans, Warriors, Roosters, South. So guys like Fogarty looking at base stats most likely this week. And their middle forwards hopefully can do a good job and they don't get whacked. They'll come into this one with a lot of confidence. All right, let's just quickly have a look at the people squad before I do my tips in front of your eyes. So big shout out to the crew for looking after this one. We ended up at 4,128. think it might have been after round 5 or something like that I gave it up. 8,852. We were at that time into 6,808, into 5,332 with 1,000 on the bill. And then we had the change of captaincy. So we went Cleary captain with the 93 into, I think the Heath was talking about maybe a stuff up in captaincy in that week here. And actually the main tough on in round 6 was the amount of guns we had on the bench. Katonga 57, Brimson 59, and Purdue 71. So that was tough there, especially with Tamale and Jenkins in that starting spot there, which is, I think, the same setup that I end up having myself in that week. Of course, surprisingly making mistakes. Not surprisingly. 5,332 into 4,128 following round 8. And we're sitting with like 3 extra trays than what my team has. So a great setup there. Now the question is going to be what we do with this side. You look at Watson in the hooking spot, with 117k in the bank. Do we make any moves here? Fogarty's a good one there. We're sitting with Nafahu White's 36. I think he's a good mid to have, so I personally wouldn't sell him. Couchman, we've got Hasio May, sweet as. Toa and Purdue, so we've got the Purdue superstar. Brimson, I think we'll just come back into the starting side for Garrick, and we'll do some looping. I think it'd be smart to do a loop in game 1 with Katonga, now that we have that ability to. With Garrick, we could slot him into that centre spot. So when I look at our centres, it's Toya, Katonga, Toa, and Purdue. We have a setup where we don't need any other centres. The only way that we could add to this personally would be if we did sell Toya. But then we are looking at our centres there, and we have, our centres and our wing fullback. We currently have Jenkins available, Tamale, and Sharp for round 12. In our centres, we'd have Katonga and Toya. We also have Garrick, sorry. Did I say Garrick? Oh, so we're 1 over for round 12. So I think Toya's an easy sell. Garrick would slot back in, which is good. So we are sort of over-indexed in wing fullbacks, in centres at the moment, and we're sitting with just the 2 guns there in Garrick and Sharp across the 2 positions, unless we're calling Mr. Purdue or Toa guns there. So there's probably room for growth in one of those 2 positions for one more guy. Our edge for round 12 is just at 1 player so far with White, but we're going to need him in mid. So I think the edge position is one that we can grow at as well. So just, guys, let us know in the comments if this was your side, what you would do in building towards that round 12 with mids needed, with hookers needed as well. So guys like Aaron Clark could do a good job. We could sell like, Isaiah Yo or Cleary in round 11. These types of things we can do in this side. Halfback position is covered with Savala and with Fog. So yeah, it's really the hooker, the mid, and the edge. So that really the top sections which we need to improve. As I said, we're pretty well over-indexed in the centre and wing fullback. So that could be a spot that we look to move on, where you can see there you've got Garrick, Toya, Katonga, and Jenkins all sitting down there. So I think maybe some moves with that section would be ideal. The question is, though, with 117 in the bank and none of those guys at a clear top tier value, how do we play that one, and how do we improve or build to get those guys in the above position? So let me know what you guys think on that one, and hopefully the private crew guys are following along with this video, and they can help with making decisions. Now, can't wait for Magic Round. Just dealing with sickness at the moment. Hey, I'm not feeling crash hot today. I only just started feeling a little bit better. I don't know what happened to me this morning. 2 p.m. here, and just got a little bit of a wind here. No wind. Had plenty of that this morning. Starting to feel a little bit better. So hopefully all good for Magic Round, because I can't be feeling like this when we're away. How good's travel, hey? And how good's getting sick on planes and all the good stuff. That guy sitting next to us, shout out to him. Probably had the plague, not sure. Sharkies, Eels. We probably have to tip Sharks. They have to bounce back after that. Roosters and Dolphins. This is such a massive clash. And, man, Dolphins have been in red-hot form. And I think that the Roosters got the win on the weekend, but I think we have to tip the Finns on that one. Hopefully they are less picked at the moment, which is interesting. Rabbitohs and Knights. man, without Latrell, they were playing pretty good without him, to be fair. We'll have to see who gets named, but surely it's the week the Knights bounce back. I kind of thought that last week, but they got smacked. But yeah, you can't tip with the Knights at this point. They're the worst team in the comp. Warriors and the Cowboys is such a tough clash. Warriors played really well in Magic Round last time. We'll say them by 2, which probably will be 20 either way. Tigers and Dragons. Dragons aren't playing that well, are they? Tigers off the back of that 89-minute effort. They're galvanized again. Oh, that's such a tough game. Probably don't want to be using jokers on this round. Titans and Bulldogs. Bulldogs will bounce back. Panthers and Broncos. You have to pick the Broncos. Storm and Raiders. Man, it's a top 4 clash. It's going to be such a good game. I have to go with the Storm in this one. Without Grant, it's tough, but yeah, I think we're going to have to lock the Storm in on that one for now. Oh, I didn't tip the Warriors. Good. There you go. Round 9 summary. That's it for this video, guys. Private crew, team, tipping, impact in the next 3. Let me know your thoughts on this. Short and sharp. We get it going before Team List Tuesday this afternoon. I wish you all the best of luck with Team List, and hopefully it sets up your team well. And we'll catch you in the next video.